My fully female 18-year-old daughter Ava dropped out of high school after getting pregnant by her then boyfriend, who's 19. Ava will be 19 soon and has no job and a baby. Her boyfriend, Andrew, moved to Miami for college. He never actually broke up with Ava, but instead told her they were still together and even went as far as leaving a sleeping bag and other toiletries in her room to show her that they were essentially a family. Now he's changed his number and blocked Ava on social media after accusing her of cheating, so this couldn't be his baby. He ignores all communication and offers to prove he's the bio dad. I've been helping Ava with the kid, but here is the situation. I'm a single mom and Ava is my second child of 3. My older daughter, 20, lives at home, but works weekends as a barista and just got a job working 3 hours a week doing QuickBooks for a church, all while studying to be an ultrasound tech. She pays $150 a month in rent. If she wants new clothes or to eat out, that's all on her. My youngest son is a tween and it's obviously my responsibility to pay for what my ex's support payments won't cover. However, Ava seems to think that because she technically can qualify as a high school super senior, she's essentially still a high schooler who can come home and expect her food, shelter and new clothes, plus fun expenses are covered, no questions asked. She thinks the biggest problem with Andrew going silent is that he's a jerk and she believes some college girl has stolen him away. That is not adult thinking, and I'm worried that Ava will never get it if I don't spell it out for her. I told her that she has to show me concrete proof that she's working towards a GED and then, if she passes, some sort of useful certification, in which case I'll let her stay for free, or she needs to get a job. She can ask her sister if any restaurants are hiring, if a gym needs a front desk clerk, whatever. She told me she would rather just do high school. I said, okay, but either way, employed or not, Andrew is the dad, and just because he's 19 doesn't mean he should get off any easier than a 39-year-old who got his wife pregnant and then left. He has to start paying child support. But Ava got angry, and either Andrew or his siblings got it into her head that if she filed, he would lose his scholarship or be forced out of college, and that the judge would probably say that Andrew cannot make any money in college, so she gets no child support. I told her she doesn't understand how much diapers and everything else cost, and if she doesn't file for support, she's about to find out because I'm kicking her out with $100 and that's it. And then if she needs diapers, she can go to the grocery store and see what the total comes to. I also printed out flyers about government social programs and taped it to her door. Am I the idiot for telling my 18-year-old to either sue for child support or get out of my house? Edit. I'd also like to add my daughter considered termination, but Andrew, whose family is Mormon, said she'd go to the bad place if she did that, and that even thinking of going on the Planned Parenthood website would require her to repent. OMG, I'm so ticked off. You are not the idiot. I'm a little out of the game at this point, but as a single mother back in the day in Florida, where I applied for food stamps, I had to provide any info about the father, and the state took over and tracked him down. They took him to court and made him get a paternity test. I highly suggest you take the option out of your daughter's hands and start the process online. As hard as it is to give your daughter an ultimatum, it means you're going to need to follow through. Choices have consequences, and she will not understand until it hits her where it hurts. Your daughter is now an adult and she needs to stop playing house at your expense and face facts. She has a child. Obviously she didn't do it alone. If he faces consequences for his actions, so be it. But you can't be her partner here. Both of them need to grow up and accept responsibility. Tough love may be called for here. What do his parents have to say about all this? It infuriates me that the only worry seems to be his future and her getting to do what she wants while you pay the bills. It's time to get real here. Sounds like the dude's parents they had 3 different losses. After the later one, my wife got pregnant with our first child a few weeks later. He said congratulations when I informed Harold about it, along with everyone else in the family. They visited me a few days later though and said, we wanted to say congrats again but figured we'd ask, were you trying for a child? I was unsure what they meant, so he clarified that he was asking whether I intended to have a kid. I replied by saying yes, and he looked shocked. He said, I can't believe you did that. I got slightly angry and asked him what he was on about, and he said, my wife and I had a loss and you wanted to have 1 kid just a few weeks later. He accused me of being a cruel, sadistic idiot. I got angry, asked him what I was supposed to do, and asked him not to pick a fight. He said, there's still time to rectify this. Visit a doctor to get rid of that child. At this point, I lost my temper and said, "There's no way you're having kids with that attitude." I asked him to get out of my house and said my wife's pregnancy was not dependent on Ashley's loss. Ashley looked really upset. He yelled at me a lot and left in the end. Am I the idiot? My jaw dropped when I read what your brother said to you. Not the idiot. You can offer him some compassion and understanding for his grief, but this is a territory where it's fair to go no contact with him, especially if he continues to antagonize you about it. Just wow. They are understandably upset by their fertility problems, but that gives them no right to try to control your having children. The demand to end your child was so far over the line you couldn't even see the line in the distance. Could you have used gentler language? Possibly, but you were blindsided by their words. I chalk their crazy response to stress from miscarriage, but tell your brother that if he ever suggests that for your child, you will never speak to him again. I wonder if 1% of this insanity is Harold assuming that he's going to do everything before you do, including having a kid, just because he's older. The other 99% of this insanity is him thinking that your having a kid has anything at all to do with him. He seems like the kind of person who thinks a situation is unfair if he doesn't have an advantage. To him, fair is unfair, maybe. I'm so sorry he said something so disrespectful about your growing baby. The world doesn't stop because you are in pain. I'm a 36-year-old woman with a husband, Tom, and 3 children. Diana, tween, Mary, pre-tween, and William, kindergartner. Since my youngest was born, I haven't had any time away to myself. I haven't had a night out, a girls' trip, or even just one afternoon to watch a movie and drink some wine. Before anyone comments, I don't want to do these things all the time. I know I have a responsibility to my kids. I just think it would be nice to take a break a few times a year, maybe. Because of this, one of my friends, Penny, asked me to come away on a girls' trip with our college friends to the beach for 7 days. Obviously, I was skeptical since I didn't want to leave my kids alone, and I also didn't want to force Tom to do everything himself for that long, but she eventually persuaded me. I asked Tom about this, and he said I should go. He would handle everything around the house. He didn't seem worried, so eventually my worries faded too. I got very into the idea of a stress-free trip, so before I left, I told him only to call me for emergencies. He agreed. But once I left and I was having a good time with my girls, Tom began calling me at least 7 or 8 times a day with the littlest things. Things like, "Oh, Diana can't find her hairbrush, where is it?" Or, "Where's the salt and pepper?" Or, "What's the name of William's kindergarten teacher again?" This went on for 3 days. I kept reminding him he agreed to only call for emergencies, but he always brushed it off. Eventually, I got sick of his calls because Tom promised me a stress-free trip, so I just turned off my phone. But on the 5th day, Penny approached me and said Tom called her and said I needed to come home immediately. Apparently, Mary was riding her bike and hit a rock and went flying off, and she broke her arm in several places. Of course, I cut the trip short and came right back home. But when I got home, Tom was very cold and rude. I thought it was just because of the stress of Mary's injury, but it kept going on for days. Eventually, I asked him straight out what was wrong and he blew up at me. He said that I abandoned our kids by refusing to answer my phone, and I broke my promise by not immediately responding when it was an emergency. He said I don't get to stop being a mother just because of a dumb vacation. I tried to defend myself and said he kept calling me over the tiniest inconveniences and interrupting the trip. Besides, he said he had everything handled. Tom responded that it could have been an emergency every time he called, so it's my job to pick up. But I said this was exactly like the boy who cried wolf, and he said that was ridiculous. My friends are all on my side, but Tom is still not really speaking to me, so I'd just like other opinions on if I was wrong here. Not the idiot. You were supposed to get some rest. It's his fault if you didn't pick up because he was annoying you every day. Like, doesn't he live with you? Like, he should know where the salt and pepper are. I saw that story many, many times. The husband says he can handle and babysit while he just takes care of their kids and doesn't really know how to take care of his own kids. Anyway, don't blame yourself. You did the right thing. It's weaponized incompetence. Also, it's not like OP was impossible to get in touch with or had everyone on the trip turn off their phones. She was immediately accessible through her friend. Couldn't he have texted her? "Hey, Mary had an accident and broke her arm. Call me ASAP." I feel like Tom was being very passive-aggressive. "Sure, honey, go on this trip because you deserve it, but now I'm going to bother you multiple times a day so you can't enjoy yourself." Your husband is the boy who cried wolf. Ideally, you'd have explicitly told him, I'm turning my phone off. If it's an actual emergency, contact Penny. But to me, that's the only thing that you did wrong. I assume your husband is upset because this week showed him how much he can't do what you do in the family. He's probably been gone for a few days here and there, but it's never impacted the family before, while you couldn't be gone 24 hours without him having to ask you questions. The alternative is that he kept calling not because he was incapable of parenting on his own, but because he didn't trust you away from him. My 19 male brother, teen, broke both of his arms in 2 unrelated incidents that took place a week apart from each other. He now has 2 long arm casts and can't do anything alone. Our mother, 45, who raised us alone, has been helping him out. Yet now she has to go to another state to be with my grandmother, who just entered hospice care. I understand it's important for my mother to be there, but I told her she should make arrangements for some professional caretaker to tend to my brother while she's away. I don't mind cooking for him or feeding him, but I don't want to care for him after he goes to the bathroom or bathe him every day, and neither does he. It's just too weird for 2 brothers to be in this position. My mother can't understand our discomfort. She says I'll be home anyway. True, I'm already on a break from college, and I won't start my new job until next month, and she thinks I'm just creating additional stresses and financial difficulties by pushing for hired help. I offered to help find this person and even to use some of my savings to contribute to the costs, but she refused, saying I was just looking for a way to ease my conscience and that it was already clear she couldn't count on me. I'm feeling like the biggest idiot in the world right now. Do you even know what it would cost to employ a home help or caretaker, or is this a half-baked suggestion where you don't understand the fees involved? You are the idiot. You should look into it. At the same time, consider how much money your mom will be shelling out on the trip to where your grandmother lives and how much money she will lose if she has to take unpaid leave. Dude, I don't think you realize how much a caregiver costs per hour. How long will your mom be away? If she needs to take unpaid time off, that leaves your household already in a worse financial position. Your family may not really be able to afford help, or the help may eat up your mom's emergency fund, if she has one. What I'm saying is that you need to be realistic. Even if you got someone to come in for 8 hours per day, that'd still leave time when your help is needed, and more coverage costs even more. I disagree, not the idiot. You're not your mother's co-parent, and you're not the idiot for offering to help her find a more suitable intensive care provider for your brother. There are likely other ways she can provide the level of care required for her son that will not be so intrusive to your relationship with him. She needs to figure her situation out. Since the brother can't toilet himself, and that is the primary task the OP won't help with, you're talking about 24/7 in-home care. That's not hundreds of dollars a week. That's thousands of dollars a week. It would likely be cheaper for the brother to be admitted to a care home. Unless this family is absurdly wealthy, the choices are the OP grows up and supports his family, or the mother can't go to her dying mother. I, 29 female, have 2 nieces, Joy and Kate, both teens. Joy is my sister's child and Kate is my brother's. Joy and Kate do a lot of activities together and share many milestones. They recently passed a certain level of the language they're learning, and the family all congratulated them. I make handmade jewelry as a hobby. Nothing expensive, but everyone compliments me and says my pieces are lovely. For passing the language level, I told Joy and Kate that I'm in the process of making 2 necklaces, and they will each get one on a certain day. I finished the necklace just the night before. In the morning, Joy video called me and said some emergencies on her father's side of the family came up, and she couldn't go to my house. I told her it was okay and showed her the necklaces, one in green and one in yellow. Joy asked if she could have the green one, and I said yes. Later, Kate and her mom came to my house. My sister-in-law said Joy probably wouldn't stop by for the necklace today as she heard that there was some emergency. I told her Joy already called me earlier and got her pick. Kate and her mother asked what I meant, and I showed them the necklaces, telling them the green one was for Joy and Kate could have the yellow one. Kate complained that because she was so pale, the yellow necklace won't stand out as much with her skin tone, and I should have kept the green one for her. My sister-in-law said they came to see me first, so they should get the first pick, not Joy, who called. I told them the necklaces are both beautiful and made with love, and I'm sure Joy would be happy to lend Kate her necklace sometimes. I know they're acting entitled, but I wonder if I'm the idiot for how I treat the girls. Info: if the necklaces were supposed to be gifts for the girls, Why didn't they get to choose the colour before you started? If you take the time to make something for someone, wouldn't you want the colour to be intentional? Either it's the colour the girl chose, or it's a colour you think would look nice on them. You wouldn't be an idiot if you'd simply wrap the gifts and put names on them like a normal person. You know, put a modicum of thought into it and give each cousin the one you think suits them best. Whenever two people get their pick, the right call is to have 3 choices. That way each person actually has a choice. Otherwise, it's exactly what you've got here. One gets a choice, the other feels like they got the leftovers. You set them up for one to be disappointed if they both wanted the same piece. You should have simply gifted each of them a specific piece. You are the idiot. You clearly favour Joy. Otherwise, you wouldn't have let her choose the necklace like that without Kate knowing or having them discuss it together. That's really sad for Kate. She worked hard too, and you hurt her like that. Shame on you. Fix this. Apologise to her and ask her what colours she wants for her necklace, then make it for her.